Hello everyone, my name is Rishikesh Nare. We welcome you to our special series, The Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories. It's an initiative by ETH. The key to cutting chai conversation is to have good discussion around the areas of your early life, education to grooming, training, business and skill augmentation to work-life balance. I mean, before we begin, let me set the context right. Cutting Chai is a series of candid conversations where we take you through the inspirational journeys of influential people. You all have seen these personalities in the corporate world, but we are taking them away from the boardroom drama to have some candid chat revolving their personal life. Okay, so be ready for the surprises, the best surprises of your life. Today we have with us Mr. Naveen Gulati, who's the CIO of Soft. Hi Naveen, how are you?
Hi Rishi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm extremely fine. I mean, I can say that it's very difficult to figure out a time between a day to have these kind of conversations. But let me tell you, this is going to be very exciting because we're not going to talk about business. We're not going to talk about the strategies, nothing. We're just going to have a fun chat. We would want to reveal secrets of your life. What have you done in the past that is still haunting you? Something like that. Yeah. So, tell us about your, early days, your childhood memories, your schooling days, which city you belong to, and anything that you've never spoken about.
All right, right. So thanks, Rishi. Thanks ETH team on having me over and kind of giving me a break to have a non-office discussion in middle of a day. I was really looking forward to it. Going back to the early childhood days, I'm a typical Delhiite, born and brought up in Delhi. Parents also from Delhi. Right, so I had my schooling done in Delhi, college done in Delhi. So and all my stints have also been in NCR. So, purely a Delhiite from heart and soul.
I mean, see, don't make it look so obvious that it's a Delhi boy. We all know how Delhi boy is, but you need to change that perception. So tell us about it. I mean, see, now since you're talking about the Delhi boys, okay, and whatever perceptions that all we have is from the movies. Okay, there are few friends that I see when I go to Delhi. I meet them. They're really nice guys, and they act different. But what you see in movies, it's completely different. You so movies they show you that how influential that guy is, and he's going to control the situation, commanding guy. But I think the another side of my friends from Delhi, they're different and they love to host. Okay, my observation, they love to host. They are up for everything. Okay, right. And I don't know, but they treat their friends like their family. And absolutely. At any given point of time.
Bang on.
Yeah, this is my observation, my 2 cents.
I think you are a very keen observer, and you have just summed it up very, very right, very right. So I think you have already answered my part of the question. So you're truly right. One is most of the Delhiites, or at least for me, I'm a big foodie. And in Delhi, you get all the flavors of the world. So be it from any state, any part of the country, any part of the world, you have everything available. And that I think I was born ready for it, or rather, I adopted well to it. But yes, we love to have friends and family over, and you're right. At least I have most of my friends in the same cadre as my family.
And so let's go back to your schooling days. So which school you've done your initial schooling?
Sure. So I went to Pal Bhavan Public School. It's a very prominent school in East Delhi. That's where I was born and brought up. And it was just close to about, say, 5 minutes from home. And one thing that I really missed, and which my other friends had always enjoyed, was bunking their school. Mine was just 5 minutes. So I couldn't have those reasons, यहाँ फंस गया, वहाँ फंस गया, and got delayed or so whatever happened. So 2 o'clock school is over, 2:10 you're expected to be home. So never got that chance to.
But you wanted to, right? When you never tried?
Of course. I always wanted. I envied my friends who would say we bunked and we went to the trade fair or we went to Connaught Place, and I couldn't do that. Yeah. So because what happened was it was a very close community, very small area where we are. So most of the teachers also put up there, and then they were friends with my parents. So the day that you're not there, and someone would call up in the evening and say, Naveen, yeah, all well. तो पता लग जाता है
यार तूने क्या किया यार मैं तो कॉन्फ्रेंस प्लेस गया तू कहाँ गया मैं पुरानी दिल्ली गया तू क्या किया यार मैं तो स्कूल में था तुझे पता है कहीं नहीं जा सकता
right Right. But one luxury that I got was that I could have that privilege of getting a plate in the morning. Because again, it's a 5 minutes walk. उठे तैयार हुए भाग गए पहुंच गए.
Yeah, but so now see, when we compare, schooling, typical schooling. See, I'm from Mumbai, okay, and the kind of atmosphere that we have here is a different one. The kind of schooling atmosphere in Delhi, it's different. Uh, any particular reason that you find, maybe teachers or maybe the students? What do you think?
No, I think so. I'm not sure about how Mumbai is, yeah, in terms of schooling, but in Delhi, it's fairly okay. So teachers also bond well with the students. Students bond well with each other, and there's a lot of teasing that happens.
See, Mumbai, I'll tell you, in Mumbai, we are just too scared to bunk our classes. Okay.
Okay.
We just don't do that, and I think most of the schools in Mumbai, we enjoy so much that we rather, I mean, yeah, bunk karke tumhara nuksan hai.
Okay. Okay. So I think bunking in, at least in a Delhi setup, is more like a kick that you get.
Yeah, it's a kick.
I've done that. It's there on my checklist. I did that. And Delhi is more like daredevils. So ये तो करना है. That. Yeah.
So any remarkable incident that you remember? I'm using bigger words like remarkable incident, but remarkable could be यार किसी को परेशान करके भागो कोई पीछे पड़े. It could be that as well. So anything that you remember, you recollect, and you never forget or you can't forget.
So yeah, there are a lot of I had a lot of fun-filled, great childhood memories, but yeah, so it was. I think we were in somewhere between classes 6 to 8 or that kind of an era. So it used to be me and my desk mate. We were very, very fond that this is our area. The moment something comes here, and then you are in my territory. So what would happen is usually a girl sitting ahead of us, she would flip open her bag. Uska bag ka bakka aa jayega, and we would pour water on that. This was our desk. We were cleaning. You came in between. So someone putting their hand, and we would nail our pen on their hand. हमारी desk में क्या कर रहे हो? So
yeah, you
had
had
a lot of fun.
I mean, SOP was ready.
Yeah.
So, for buckle, for a pen, for a tiffin box, maybe a book that crosses that line, you're allowed to just throw that away.
Right. Right. So we were very naughty in that sense.
And about the teachers, I mean, you remember them? Any of them in particular?
Yeah, there were a couple of them which I had a huge crush on. So, so
anything got materialized? Anything got materialized? Or
sadly, I also had to attend wedding of one of them. So,
brilliant!
Life, so I can tell you.
You remember those anecdotes, so I understand. It's deeply rooted.
Right.
So then, after your schooling, so when did you move to another city, or you still in Delhi, or have you for your further studies for your college you moved your city?
No, so my college also was in Delhi, and I come from a very diverse background. I'm a pharmacist as well. So
okay,
after my schooling, I did a D Pharm from Delhi University, and but that didn't excite me enough. Came across a very fantastic book on programming. I don't know whether luck bought that book to me, and I just fell in love with it. And I felt that IT is where I wanna go.
I mean, it's very difficult to find someone who would say that glad I got that book, because what I used to do is C plus, the basic one, Yashwant Kanitkar. Okay, there's a big book. Whenever I used to see that book, I used to hide that book. वो देख के इतना टेंशन आता था ना कि यार मतलब कोडिंग तो 3-4 स्टेप के बाद रॉन्ग होने वाला ही है. Yeah, but it's more about interest, right? I mean, you liked it, you found that path in your life, and then you start. So then later on, what happened?
So then I went into IT. I started very early in my career. I started coding for a couple of universities, doing small applications. A couple of salons I developed their own customer management system, and then it just went on. So and then one or the other opportunity keep coming in, and it just shaped up well.
And what part of coding that you really enjoyed the most? Because we don't know about anything about coding. Okay, we're completely blank. Maybe our other guest, maybe he must be aware about it. I'm like a layman. Okay, what I understand is iPhone and Apple Watch and your Mac accessories. That's it, and the Windows laptop. That's it. Nothing else.
All right, right. I love defining the user experience or the customer journey.
Okay.
That's my favorite part. That's the favorite bit of the puzzle that I love to solve. I love to solve on where we are, what do you want to be, and then how do you reach from point A to point B. Right. So, say designing the screens or working with the stakeholders in getting the user experience, the reports, the data inputs, and that's what I love. And once you have designed your software right, developing that comes easy there.
Okay. So have you ever thought of, designing anything that is going to help people? I mean, when you were in school, when you were fighting with your friend for that important space, your desk space, you ever thought of that you would work in a space where you would think about customer satisfaction, user experience, or I don't know, where did this entire ideology come from?
That's a good point. Now that you actually rang a bell. So I think I had always been more of a problem solver. So someone has a problem, and your Naveen is the go-to guy in the class, and uh, keen on giving advice, and which you mostly also turned out well for folks. So I had always been solving problems and trying out new things. I was so anything that's new there, and I would be amongst the first ones to raise the hand and say, okay, I'm gonna try it out. Be it say even a new candy or a new vendor setting up a store. Chal bhai uske naye golgappe aaye and let's try it out. So always amongst those few folks who would take that leap and would be there for anyone who comes, be it friends and family. So I think that trait really got reflected in the professional journey as
I
well.
told you yesterday, right? When we were discussing this, I told you that no, whatever things that we are doing today, the anecdotes have coming from last 30 years. I would say.
Right.
The problem solving. So any best advice that you remember that you had given to your friend, and any worst advice that you remember that you had given?
Worst one I do remember.
Of course, then we'll talk about worst one only, because worst
So,
advices and the memories, they haunt you, they stay with you all
right.
night long. So talk about that.
So worst one was a friend of mine had a crush, and he came to me, and I gave him some expertise with a very devilish mindset at that point in time. Ki, "Chal, maze lete." And then that happened. So that worked out well for me, but didn't work out for him. But we had a great fun. We had a good laugh. Even now, I'm in touch with a lot of folks from my school days, and so we discuss those memories, and we get good laughs and we get good moments together. We are all that crazy stuff that we used to do. So
But that one friend is never going to download any application that you've made, because he's not.
that poor fellow happens to be my best friend. So
Oh, so for testing, he has to, right?
so see, I'm a proven advisor. That
Oh,
if I have something cunning in mind, I can get that done. So what if I have something best in mind? And obviously, I'll also get that done. So
just make sure that you put your query across in a better way.
yeah,
So then Naveen can assist you in a better manner
yeah.
that way. So then you started, learning about coding, and the fact that you mentioned that, when you deliver a great experience to your customer, that's the end result. And when everything is done, your software is ready to use. And when people are using it, when they say good things about you, that's when you feel, oh, it's worth the effort that you put in across. So anything other than coding, have you done anything, in terms of any hobbies that you had in your early days? And if you're pursuing any hobbies still, I mean, you looked up once, I know you're thinking, so we'll give you time.
So current hobby is around reading. I read a lot,
Okay, great.
and that really helps me widen my horizon. It really helps. I've seen it myself over and over again on how reading really helps you. Early days, I was not not a bookworm. I would run away from books. So totally opposite. I was always out. You would have you would I would get getting scolded every now and then. अरे इतना time हो गया घर नहीं आता घर तो टिकता ही नहीं है and all that. So a typical Punjabi mother
Yeah.
scolding his son. So that was me. and I used to love cycling. I would cycle for hours and hours together. We would explore new places, go around, daydreaming, packing our bags. We'll go there and we'll go here, and that used to give us a good rush, a good kick.
Yeah.
So that was a big hobby back in good old
I
days.
mean, see, I mean, I think, I don't know, when I'm 85 born and you're somewhere there,
Yeah.
I feel. So nowadays, when I see, all these people doing this, say, cycling, running, मैं बोलता था बचपन में हम लोग तो normal करते थे. मतलब,
Right, right.
ये तो part of life था, अभी
Yeah.
profession बन गया.
Right.
But it's in a good spirit, right? I mean, good people are doing, they're running, that they have taken up. They have running buddies, okay? They have cycling buddies. मतलब वो time पे तो दोस्त के पास हमारे option ही नहीं था.
Right, exactly.
If you don't have a cycle, take it on rent. I mean, here we used to take it on rent, but we have to go.
Right.
Something like that. But good to see these things in a very different packaging today. People are taking it very seriously. They have given a name called the term called fitness, and I think when we were young, it was not about fitness. It was about how much more time that we can get in doing such things like cycling.
Right.
I mean, here. So, I mean, you're an app developer, and they say, if I blame you today, you guys are the responsible one who made the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and the WhatsApp. You guys have ruined everything. If I blame you, what is your defense going to be?
No, I think I will not defend it. I think you are bang on right. This is something, though technology has really shaped our lives well, right? So today, you and I are having this discussion from two cities across. We faced COVID very well. In fact, just a small another thread. There used to be this message which keeps coming in. Imagine if you were in the good old days and there were COVID times and you were stuck with your Nokia 3301 and playing snakes. Right? So be happy that you have access to all the technologies, Netflix, and at least you're able to pass your time. But one thing that has gone wrong is my son doesn't have those kind of memories which I created during my childhood. Right? We used to play marble, we used to play elastics, tapu, maram pitti, pittu, and all those games. I think these are all lost. and we used to fight hand in glove, or matlab badhiya wala fight. And today the parenting has become very different. You are very protective. So it is something that I really regret what technology has done. Our childhood and today's childhood, they are entirely different.
I don't know, but one fine day, a developer like you might create a software that where you can create memories. Like which memory? Select your memory. Okay, select the era that you want. Now select outdoors, indoors.
Right.
Yeah. So then, what happened once you've done with your college, and then you remember your first interview?
Yes, I do. So I, in fact, also remember my first call. So that came out from NIT Technologies, and the lady on the phone said that I'm calling from NIT and we have such and so position to offer. And I was like, NIT? No, I don't want to teach. I don't want to go into teaching profession. I hung up the phone. In the evening, I spoke with one of my friends, and I was just narrating what happened. He said, "Stupid, it was NIT Tech or Limited." And I said, "Yeah, this is tiny." and then and then I traced back that lady all the way from calling up the landline to asking someone from the TA team. I said, "Madam, sorry, I made a mistake." And then things happened, and it happened well. I cracked that interview, and that's how a good journey started.
I mean, have you ever, said any lies in your interviews? Like initial days, we do that, right? Because we have that fear of getting rejected. So, थोड़ा सा कोई पूछ ले यार तुम्हें 1 2 3 4 5 10 आता है, तो we say हाँ. Have you done that? Because it's very difficult to, now in your field, say if there's a guy like who understands management, but he doesn't understand the technical part of it. He won't be able to, track you down where you are lying. No, this is where. So anything that had happened, that where you showed off your, some language, some fancy tech words, and someone has said, okay, that's fine, oh, good. I mean, isko pata hai yaar kuch to. Has that ever happened?
Absolutely, it happened with me on my first interview itself. And how one thing that I had always been doing was whatever I speak it with full confidence, as if I know my shit really well. So no matter what you do, I am right. I know what I'm talking about. So So I think that really clicked with the interviewer. There were few questions on which I was answering wrong. He also cross-questioned me, and I said, no, it happens this way.
And he got convinced.
He got convinced. And then later on, when I came back and I reread the things, and I said, boy, I was all wrong. And I think that might have been a trait that he liked in me. That at least I was
Maybe.
printing with confidence, because that was a consulting role. I had to work with clients based out of US and Europe. So probably they were looking at someone who can present things confidently, and that worked.
I mean, sometimes, interviewers, they're like our parents. मतलब उनको पता होता है कि क्या करके आया आज. But they don't show कि okay, that the way he's hiding it, it's commendable. So, our parents, they ignore. Similar to, interviews, they say, अच्छा ठीक है, थोड़ा तो कर रहा है, लेकिन 98% तो सच बोल दिया. So then after your journey, like first with your first job, then you moved to another company, and then how was your professional journey like?
So my professional journey, one thing that I always lived by was no task is small, no work is small, right? And no matter what comes your way, just grab the opportunity. Don't say this is too low for me and this is something that I won't do. So it was early in those days. Not disregarding any profession, but software guys would always have their heads high in front of a hardware engineer. यार मैं तो application वाला हूँ, तुम system ठीक. So एक होता था. So that divide was there back in those days, and the first opportunity that came to me to handle networks, data center, I never resisted. I never had that high-headedness. No, I'm an application or an change management professional, and I'll not do that. And that really worked well for me. So I think these were some values coming in from childhood, that whatever comes your way, grab it. There's always a greater good which is out there in the back for you.
Yeah.
And that worked. That really worked well for me. That helped me shape my career well.
I mean, so in your childhood days, you were the go-to guy for your friends, right? Like advisor kind of thing. Naveen कहाँ पे जाता था? जब नवीन को valuable advice चाहिए रहती थी बचपन में, where used to go?
Fortunately, I had a couple of very good mentors. So and they were my go-to guys for anything, be it personal, be it professional. And I was lucky. I was lucky to have those folks in my life. I think if they were not there, I wouldn't have been where I am today. So I think one thing that I have realized, and I also coach my team, is that find your mentors. Whether they are there in your friends, or they are there in your family, or your spouse, or your peers, colleagues, they are everywhere. It's just that you need to find who is the right person, who has that alignment with you, who understands you, and keep in touch. So I do stay in touch with my mentors, even though it's been almost a decade that I've not worked with them, but right. I'm still in touch. I go back to them, I reach out to them, and I discuss things at length.
Great. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's good to have your mentors around. I would not recommend you, Naveen, because of that one incident and one friend. Trust me, if once this video is out, that person is going to say that, यार एक तो तुमने मुझे तकलीफ दी, उसके बाद publicly कह भी रहे हो.
Right.
So if given an opportunity, and if we give you a time machine, and if you have one opportunity to go back to your schooling days, and once you just hit enter and you're in that classroom, you are seeing yourself having that fun with your friend, the young version of Naveen. What message that you would want to give it to young Naveen, who's still fighting with that friend for that space? You just have to go there and whisper. What do you want to say?
I think a funny one that comes to my mind, that I'll give him the trick to develop that time machine, and I'll tell him that the moment this year goes out, एक साल वापस rewind कर ले, and just stay. I don't come out of that loop. That was the best time of the life that I had, and if given a chance, I would want to be just stuck there.
Oh, brilliant!
You're living each day. That was an amazing time that I had.
Yeah, great answer. Great. I really love the fact, and no answers are correct, right, wrong, less effective. And most of the people, they say that, I will correct few things. I will tell myself that, be fearless. do whatever you want to do, some things like that. But you said that, and I'll take that machine and then I'll keep it with me, because in future I know that I'm going to create an app which runs that machine,
Right.
because I'm good with the software and I have the hardware, so I can make a better one.
Yeah, yeah.
Naveen, we have Aditya Agarwal with us today. Okay, and I'm going to leave you guys with one question, and then you guys can continue the conversation. And again, I'll come back and close the show. But like a typical layman, okay, I'm going to ask you, because you guys are the tech expert, and I don't understand other than phone and my laptop. So we've seen what has happened in 2020. We've seen a digital transformation at an exponential speed. The growth that we have seen is I mean, we cannot imagine the pace that everything has developed, evolved around us in last 1 year or 14 months. Again, after second wave, we thought uh, everything will change, but I think still things are moving slowly. So from the technological landscape, from that perspective, as a layman, what do I, expect? What's going to happen from the end user computing? What's going to happen in terms of hardware development, in terms of software? What do I expect? So who's going to start? Aditya, you want to start, or Naveen, you want to go ahead first?
Naveen, why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So one thing that I have seen, especially in 2020, is uh, probably the industry, the world, even we guys as the consumer have realized how big a divide is there in terms of expectations and meeting those expectations. Right. So one country not doing its bit, and the entire industry goes for a toss. We have seen chip shortages all across, say, consumer hardware, on an automobile segment. Just yesterday, Tata Motors took a dip because they couldn't meet their demand, right? The JLR couldn't meet their demand. So something that really needs to be seen is how do we structure things better? How do we don't depend on one supplier per se to meet all the global demand? And then how does that happen? Probably everyone needs to step up. Logistics need to step up, and that's where the integration of software comes in. So how do we work on probably better planning in terms of the requirements, global requirements from an OEM perspective, or from a customer perspective. So that's where the industry really needs to first solve a problem at a ground level, and then of course we can always talk about higher up things that say better performing machines, faster running software, more compute, more cores, and all that. That's all good to have. A bigger problem that needs to be solved right now is logistics, right? Supply chain. And I think Aditya, you can probably add to that on how your thoughts are.
Yes, in fact, what you said is what we're seeing right now is that while logistics is working, the predictability has gone down,
Yeah.
right? So whereas you could predict earlier that if I order something, it will come in 1 week. Today, after 1 week, you get a new timeline.
Right,
And,
absolutely.
and the new time sometimes is about I'll tell you when the new timeline will be, right? So it has become multiple layers, and the predictability has gone down. And you see a lot of shocks that suddenly component shortages happen. You think that it will become better 3 months, 6 months down the line, but it doesn't. No? We have stopped telling our team that guys things will be better in 3 months. No, we tell them please prepare for 1 year. We'll tell you again if this settles down, right? So logistics, and we are a big our whole thing runs on logistics, right? Because we are talking about millions of PCs and other devices throughout the world. So yes, that has been a big issue. It is better, but there's still a long way to go. And coming further on, like you said, what we are also planning right now and what we are seeing is that this whole work from home scenario has put new challenges in front of vendors like us and for our customers. So, for example, a biggest challenge is how do I keep people productive at home, right? How do I possibly initially when I was talking to CIOs, they would say that, hey, if there is a problem in the machine, please fix it immediately. What they're saying right now is, please tell me before there is a problem in the machine.
Right.
Right now we had to put our thinking hats and bring solutions. So for example, today we have a solution called Lenovo device intelligence, where you can, where an IT guy can, where it can flag off if there is some irregularity in the PC, if there is something not working right, it can flag off to the IT guy saying that, hey, there's something is possibly going wrong. Now, it may not solve everything, but it does, it's an upstream activity, that like you talked about CX, right? We talk upstream activities that can possibly solve for the downstream problems that we have. So it's about putting your hat on for innovation to solve the problems before they even arise, which I see is the need for today and where all the innovation is happening.
Great, great.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing everything what you guys are saying because it's a pure information. No one has access to it, because later on, if I have to go out there and show off, this is going to help me. So, so guys, that was Naveen, our made in Delhi guy. He's humble, but with a disruptive mindset. He has worked on tons of apps, and that is how he has transformed his problem solving ability into real life profession. So very smart, Naveen. Thank you so much. Again, thanks for being here with us, and we enjoyed the chat. 20 minutes are not enough, but still, we have to stop somewhere and we have to go somewhere. So that's how this entire cycle works. Any last thoughts to the millennials from the perspective where I think you must be aware that most of the guys are getting into startups and they are developing their own apps. What is happening nowadays that even if you see from a global perspective, we only talk about the 0.point some 1-2 successful startups. But what about this 99% startups? They face troubles. They get into depression at a very early age because they start really early. So at the age of 25, they are facing mental issues. So any, I would not say advice, but yeah, in your style, in your favorite ability, that anything that you would want to say that, I don't know, it's not the end of the road, but now I don't want me to say, because it's better you say it because you understand that journey.
Sure. So Rishi, my advice, or not even advice, but my 2 cents to any millennial today starting his own startup is: one, don't give up on your dreams. This is a very right age when you can actually crack something up. Once you get absorbed into the whole thing of family responsibilities, your risk taking ability or an appetite goes down. And secondly, this right now is an era when you can actually do wonders. Imagine if we were to launch an internet startup 10 years earlier from today. India was not having good internet connectivity. Our parents, they never knew how to use a smartphone. Today, thanks to WhatsApp and Facebook, everyone knows how to use a smartphone. In fact, there's not even a non-smartphone in the country per se, right? We are talking 5G. Look at the configuration of phones coming in. So digital is the future, but this is the very sweet time to do a good digital disruption. Of course, yes, a 25-year-old, let's say, if they have cracked something up and then there are pressures to deliver, pressures to perform, uh, don't shy away on reaching out to anyone and for their advice or get a mentor on board. Right? So there are enough CIOs out there who would even do a pro bono. I mentor a couple of startups pro bono, right? So and not for money, not for equity, but just for sake of something doing good to the society. Right? There are a lot of people out there who can help you take those pressures, stand with you to while you handle all those pressures to deliver, to perform, and learn from your failures, learn from your risks. So I think, and if you are solving good problem, there's no reason to take a step back. Just stay there and perform. And of course, you can anytime go back to a corporate world and get a job. So that's okay, right? Yeah.
I mean, I would say that I'm glad you turned you converted your profession into hobby into profession. That is the problem solving, approach. And yeah, it reflects, trust me. So yeah, I think that's it for today. We will see you again someday to have another round of conversation to discuss a different part of your life. But Naveen, again, formally, thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Rishi. Thank you.
We
So
had
much for
fun.
that meeting. Yeah.
See you around.
Likewise. I had good fun today, and especially in middle of a day. I think this was a real break, that a much needed break. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.